Hey, everybody. So I'm your host night right here on the Women of Power Radio Show. So make sure you guys do what, Nana?
Share the video. Y'all had 5 minutes, you know what I'm saying? But depending on when you jumped in, you still have time to take this moment to share the video.
All right. Make sure y'all share. It looks like it jumped back. Okay, you good? That's all that matters. All right. So listen, you guys, while you are sharing, I want to say welcome to David James, Donna Corbet, Azure Badger. Thank you for joining us. Erica Younger, Lacorius, what's up? Hunter, Relissa Farmer, George Pitts, thank you for joining us. Frederick Dwayne Hurst, Michael Airline, Mary Martin, Tasha Mahomes, Alexandra Monique Ward, and everyone else that's just tuned in. So as promised, you guys probably read the description of the show tonight. So as I said, we have some exciting questions that we're going to discuss, and we want your feedback. We want you to share and participate in the show. And so we're going to actually kick it off, Nana, with our first question.
So the first question, I already know y'all probably thinking, oh, it's about to be we saving that one for later. So the first one we're going to talk about is the steps to take to rebuild trust, I guess, in a relationship. We have a young man who has a girlfriend. They've been together for 2.5 years. Okay. He recently found out that she was for the streets, but rather than let her stay there, okay,
what does that even mean? She was for the streets.
For the streets, no, she was out there, being for everybody.
Oh.
Yeah, he found out that she was cheating on him, but he wants to stay. So rather than end the relationship, he actually wants to work things out. But his question is, what does that look like? Does he, because he's saying he's forgiven her, does that mean they just pick up where they left off? Or does that mean, they have to start from scratch all over? Like, what are the steps to actually do that? Which is a good question, because, how many of y'all have stayed in a relationship after there's been some kind of infidelity? And did you all have a plan? Or, because for me, let me put it this way, in my experience doing that, I didn't necessarily have a plan. It was just kind of like, I'm upset and I still want to work things out, and so we're just going to quote unquote work things out. But I also didn't really know what that actually looked like. We just played by ear. So I think it actually is a better thing to do, to actually have a plan.
Absolutely.
Because you save yourself some time and y'all actually know where you're going.
Right. So I had a plan.
I did not.
But see, he didn't actually follow the plan, which is why the back together didn't last very long. But I think you absolutely have to have a plan, because there are steps to, let me tell y'all something. Faith, look at me, faith. I'm sorry, trust and faith. Come on here. No, trust is like one of the hardest things to restore, y'all.
Yes.
And so once you've lost trust, I don't care if it's in a relationship or if it's a family member or even at your job. Like, once they find out you stole them staples, it's going to be hard. But
they fire you.
Right? Yeah, they will fire you. But I'm saying some companies, if it's something small, they'll give you a chance, but they're going to be watching you over their shoulders. And so in a relationship setting, it is so hard to restore trust, and that's why it should be precious. It should be held precious in your relationship. So I would say I have accepted people back after finding out their infidelity. I will say that I myself has, in history been unfaithful, and there was a process for us to try to restore that as well. And I think I did a good job. But the men I've tried to give a second chance have done a good job. So I would say, yes, there needs to be a plan. I know for me, all I can do is tell y'all my plan, okay? But we want to hear from you guys, what's your plan? But I would say for me, it was like, you're going to have to restore the trust, which means there's going to have to be some things that you're going to have to do to show me that what I suspect or what I think is not happening. Whether that's just calling me and saying, hey, I'm here. Whereas communication's going to have to pick up to like 1,000 right now, because I need those assurances in my life. There was going to have to be like, I need to know where you're going. Accountability. Come on.
Accountability. Y'all let that word marinate, because I think when it comes to working things out after there's been infidelity, a lot of times to the person who's done or caused the pain, oftentimes will feel like, in a sense, like you're over, like, okay, you say you forgave me, but let's say if I call and I say I'm going out somewhere, and you say, oh, well, where are you going? Well, okay, you
gotta know.
Like, exactly, you said you forgave me. Are you bringing it up?
Like, no,
it's not that I'm bringing it up. This all falls under the umbrella of accountability.
Right.
So yes,
and me saying I forgive you does not mean that I forgot. And so therefore forgiveness is not saying everything is cool.
Right.
So that's one of the main thing that people say. Do you forgive me? Just say you forgive me. I'm sorry. I never have to. I forgive you, but there's gonna have to be some things happening, bruh or sis, that's gonna help me build this trust back up.
Right.
Because it is something that has to be built back up. I'm not just gonna forgive you and just jump right back in and accept maybe the way you've done things and the way we have progressed forward, because now there's this niggling thing in my mind, because the enemy, first of all, is going to ever bring stuff before you. Plus our own minds is going to ever bring stuff for us. So like, for example, maybe you could go a whole day without contacting me, but now that there's been infidelity, boo, baby, no. No, I need to hear from you every day. Right. I need to know what you're doing, where you're going, and it's only for a season.
Right.
But the problem is that people don't want to make that sacrifice.
They feel like you're doing too much, and so that's really, really important. So when it comes to rebuilding trust, I'll definitely say you have to have a plan, like what she talked about. Y'all have to communicate what your expectations are, because if you don't, the person, first of all, who did cause the harm needs to be aware of what you require, so that they don't also feel overwhelmed or feel like you're doing any nagging. And you also have to have the keyword boundaries, y'all. Boundaries. You have to know what your boundaries are, because if you don't know what your boundaries are, also you'll end up getting your feelings hurt in different kind of ways, because you never communicated those things. And like she said, when it comes to, if you've already, cheated and you're going somewhere, it makes sense that she's going to ask you where you're going. If you cheated and you say I'm working late, and she kind of feels some type of way, it makes sense. But even I've seen they've talked about couples who they might randomly say, well, let me see your phone. And the person will flip out, and it's like, well, she's asking because she needs the reassurance that there's nothing going on. So if you spaz out on her for asking for your phone because, now you just all up it, then it makes, again, you're only creating more gray area for her to think that you're still doing something. You see what I'm saying? It's vice versa.
Absolutely.
Since this is a female we're speaking of, you would be only creating more gray area for him to think you still out there in them streets. You're supposed to be rebuilding trust. And so it comes with work, y'all. Come on.
And for those of you that are just tuning in, you can see the question posted right there on the screen. So you guys jump in with some of the steps you think need to be taken after trust has been broken. But I want to give a shout out to Thelma Akataka, Danielle Jones, Stephanie Thompson, Whitney Striblin, what's up on tonight? Sheldon Davis, thank you for joining us. Miranda Ray, Ambrosia Harvey, Emmanuel Kirkwood, I don't know, every time I say the name, I want to sing that song because I just love it. Rosalie Turner Gibson, thank you all so much for joining us. Keisha Taylor had something to say.
Yes.
She said, first, thank you for being a top fan. She says, first, there has to be a genuine willingness to change first. If you forgive, then truly forgive. But there's going to definitely have to be an open book from the cheater going forward. And that's so true. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people complain about people who were in relationships where maybe they were unfaithful. And then the person said, I forgive you. But then they keep throwing it up in their face.
Right. And so there needs to be, and that even segues into Azure, because she said, what about people who try to forgive but don't have the capacity to move forward in the relationship after infidelity? And again, that's a decision that you have to make, and you have to recognize, if you are that person, you need to go ahead and end the relationship. Because the mistake that people will make is to think that, okay, well, just because I said I forgive, then somehow I'm going to be able to not bring it up anymore, miraculously be healed. But you find yourself, though, throwing it up in their face, and not in the type of way of accountability, but you get mad at, well, you're the one who, and I'm not.
We can't do that,
you can't do that. Yeah.
We can't do
if
that.
You're going to keep resurrecting something that you're supposed to be laying down, then it's time for you to remove yourself.
Hey,
it's just going to become a toxic relationship, and that's not
and imagine how it feels for you, even like if it's your cousin or your sister or your mother. Well, you did this last time, but doggone, that was last time. I'm changed. I'm new. They're like, sometimes people would not let you move past your moment, if that makes sense. Like, they will take you and put you in a box in that moment, and this is you from now on. You the thief, you the liar, you the cheater, you this, you that. But what we have to realize is that we are constantly evolving. Like, I change every day. Well, not that you would notice, but I grow up more every day. I change. So we all do. And so therefore we have got to stop putting people in boxes and snapshotting a moment in their life and giving people other opportunities to make mistakes. Because I'm sorry, I'm getting choked up because this is so real. No, actually choking on my own stuff. But the point is that we forget that people make mistakes.
Yes, they make mistakes.
So what do you feel about that, Nana? For the people that say, I cheated, it was a mistake.
See, you asking the wrong person. I just said people make mistakes. I know they do. That's not a mistake I made. So I mean, no, I understand. Let me put it this way, because I'm just triggered. That's all. Because when you've been cheating on you here, I made a mistake. You're looking like whatever. Anyway, but yeah, people make mistakes. I'll say that it just depends. I'll say on if it was truly, because some people it's like a one-time thing. Of course, if it's coming from the lips of anyone who's been doing it habitually, then of course it's not a mistake. That's part of their character, and so you don't want to listen to that. But I feel like if you genuinely feel like the person is being sincere, like they always say, the best apology is changed behavior, right? So if they're making efforts after you guys have communicated what you require, your expectations, you guys are willing to both work it out, and you've communicated those things, and they're actually meeting you where you are, they're allowing your needs to guide them and how they should move, then I would say that absolutely, then you can you have something to work toward, because they're showing you they're trying to do different. But if they're just giving you lip service and their behavior is the same,
it's a difference.
It's manipulation. Remember, apology without change behavior is manipulation.
That's good.
So yeah.
Hashtag good.
Yeah.
So, okay. So if there's no change, then there's no change.
Right.
And so, but I think we have to be willing to sacrifice, because it is a sacrifice.
Absolutely.
I mean, it can get on your nerves. I'm not going to lie to you. Especially if you're the one, let's say you weren't even unfaithful, but they think you're unfaithful. Is that relationship worth it to you? That's one thing you got to measure. Like, is this relationship important enough for me to say, you know what, my boo or my bae is having some insecure moments right now. You know what? Let me make some extra efforts.
Them.
Right. Well, I wouldn't say nurture it. Would you say
no,
nurture
I'm not nurturing that. I'm nurturing them to give them the extra reassurance. Because I've been in relationships like that where they were insecure, and so it was like I was going out of my comfort zone. I'll put it that way, to basically do more, to show more that hey, you have nothing to worry about. But then
that can get tiresome.
Yes, it gets to a point to where it's like, look. Right. I've been like, Tyrese, what more do you want from me? Like, I've been doing this. I've been trying to show you, and you still don't. Like, now you're just draining me. So now it went from me trying to, help you through this lesson to where I feel like it's leeching me. So I got to go. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Well, and then you can't put a time limit on it either.
Yeah.
You can't put a time limit on how long it's going to take for someone to develop that trust. And I think that's what's exasperating. And that's because
frustrating for both parties.
We just be honest, because women are emotional and men are more physical. They feel like women should get over stuff fast. Like, it shouldn't take all that. It shouldn't take this long. I said I'm not going to do it no more.
Yeah, I said I'm sorry. Why can't you just take my word for it? Like, why can't I just take... What? Why would I take your word for it? Is a question you should be asking.
So listen, Keisha Taylor says, if that happens, if they keep bringing it up, she said, then it's time to walk away from that, or you're going to start showing that hurt and anger. And that's so true. Mary Martin says cheating is a choice.
Okay, mistake where, ma'am? Thank you. Mistake.
That's why you were struggling with the question. Mary's like, no, cheating is a choice. But that's true. But every mistake we make is a choice.
True.
Hello. When we was a teenager, we snuck out that window. That was a choice. It was a mistake. But it was a choice, So
I'll give you that.
That's so every mistake starts as a choice. So you're right, Mary. Azure Badger says it's subjective. It's a poorly made decision, but at the time you didn't think it was wrong. You know what? I struggle to believe that someone that's in a relationship that makes a decision to cheat ever has a moment where they feel like it's not wrong. I think they go into it knowing it's wrong, but not really caring. Maybe
it's a moment of being selfish. I feel like they know that it's wrong, but they feel like they deserve it. Is what it boils down to. It's like based on what has caused them to get to that point, whether you feel like your partner isn't giving you enough attention, there's a void somewhere where you feel that I'm entitled to do this because of something that they have done. A lot of people will look at it that way. And then you have those out there who just do it because they can't, Because I used to my favorite show. Well, I thought you were about to tell how you used to just cheat just because.
Oh, no. Girl, no. I don't have that testimony. It was, I don't want to testify at all about that. But, my favorite show used to be Cheaters. Okay. And now Bounty Hunter D. But one of the things that I find is like one of the main reasons is like the women will say, well, you work all the time. So that's their reason for cheating. And the men will say, well, you don't pay me no attention. You neglect me. Yeah. So it's imperative, y'all, that when we get into relationships, that whatever we did, to start that relationship or to get that relationship,
Keep
that we got to
keep it going. Like we just talked about this a couple shows ago. Like if you start, however you start the relationship, you want to keep that going. If anything, add stuff to it, but don't stop, because when you stop, you're leaving a void for someone else to fill. Because at the end of the day, that's what attracted y'all to each other, right? There was something that you liked. So just because you feel like you have them doesn't mean that desire for them that drew them to you is gone. It's still there. So if you stop it, that desire looking around like, well, where did it go? I'm gonna find it somewhere else. And that's a lot of times what happens, even though it's not right. We're not condoning it. We're just saying that's what happens. So,
right. Thelma Akataka says,
who can look into those pretty eyes, Kasha, and cheat?
I know, right? What's going on with the world, man? I don't know, Thelma, what's going on? Ooh. Look, Mary Martin says nobody just falls into whatever. There's communication and sneaky things going on before the act, not to mention the seconds it takes to get undressed and do all of that stuff that it takes a time a person to, wait a minute, hold on. All about that thing, all the time a person needs to stop and think. So you're right. It's not like you just fall into it. There's thought, there's usually like a precursor. Mm-hmm. There's usually, intimacy with language before you ever get into the bed.
Lies have been
so there's plenty of time to like not, make that decision, to reverse the decision, to change your mind, to make a different choice. So that's her justification for why it's a choice. Yes. Okay, well, thank you for sharing that, Mary. Listen, welcome Alice Pullen, Carl like no other, Harvey. What's up, Carl? Your sister at a party tonight, but we still here rocking on Women of Power Radio show.
Are you gonna read Nikki's?
Oh, I was looking at that one.
Oh, okay. Nikki said, maybe cheating doesn't seem wrong if that's all they've seen from their childhood. Example, if a woman sees her mom with a different man all the time, when she becomes an adult, she may think it's normal. I think it's the same with cheating in some cases.
It's actually the same with abuse as well. Yeah. Sometimes when children
normalize dysfunction.
So that's so true. But this is my thing, Nikki. If that's your testimony, then testify. Let me know that this is what I grew up around. This is what I do. Give me that option. Give me that chance to make an educated decision on whether I want to jump into that foolery.
Yes.
So I'm not going to sit up here and discount that, because that's a proven clinical fact that people, Nana could probably speak more into it from the psychological
aspect,
mental health. I don't know.
Actually, I can't.
Okay, well, if it was legal, she could have spoke about
that part.
But yeah, so I would say that there are people that are dealing with that, Nikki. But all I'm saying is that if you have a dysfunction, and let me just go deeper. If you know you meet someone and you know that you have an addiction, I think you should share that, so that person is aware when you disappear.
They know what they're dealing with.
Right. That, okay, this is what they're dealing with. And then I have a choice whether I want to deal with that. So I would say, to me, that's like a dysfunction. So if that is your dysfunction, at least have enough respect to not get into a relationship until you work on
exactly. That's what I was saying. Even bigger is work on yourself. Work on yourself. So even right now, just take a moment and think, okay, well, what are the things that I know are my triggers or toxic traits that I may have that I may carry into a relationship? And what am I actually doing to work on that? Because all of us can sit here and say like, oh, I know maybe the Lord's still working on me. It's my mouth. Or I know we can say what we know about ourselves. But the question is, are you doing anything about it?
Because most people
aren't doing anything about it. And as I stated before, there are a plethora of YouTube channels that have mental health videos, snippets, whatever, to constantly your mindset on your healing every single day. So you guys, please use it, because there's a lot of toxicity.
Listen, Casey Porter, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. David James says, I feel like no one wants to take accountability for their actions on both parties.
On both parties.
So
during the cheating, you mean like for the person who got cheated on and the cheater?
Right. That's what I'm thinking. And we're gonna go with that.
Well, and if we're going with that, what I will say is let's just say, for example, if the cheater cheated because he felt like there was something, or for her, if she cheated because she felt like there was something that her boyfriend wasn't doing, I would not blame necessarily the boyfriend on the fact that she cheated, because if that's how she felt, number one, she could have communicated it. If she did communicate it and he still discontinued, then she could have just removed herself from the relationship altogether. So for me, I can never justify cheating and say, well, you should have taken accountability that I cheated because you didn't do it because that's to me is ridiculous. If you felt that much that it wasn't working out and they weren't fulfilling that need, then you should have said something and said, hey, I feel like I told you, I'm giving you plenty of opportunities, so I'm just going to go ahead and check out the streets. Okay, that's what should have happened. Not just I'm going to stay with you and make you think I'm committed to you, and then step out, and when I get caught, and then it's like, well, what happened was you now.
First of all, Nikki Thompson, thank you for sharing. David James, you said you feel like no one wants to take accountability for their actions on both parties. So, and just in like tagging on to what Nana said, communication is key. And so if you have not communicated to me that there's an issue, then all the accountability is on you.
Yeah.
So if I have not communicated to you that I'm not happy and that's why I'm treating you like dirt, which is why you cheated, then that's on me. But if you have some issues with me and that is causing you to want to go cheat and you have not shared them with me, I can't take accountability for that.
My thing is, even if you were to tell them and they still don't do it, then you have the option to leave. So you should just leave. So either way, it still falls on the person who cheated.
Okay. So Nikki Thompson, thank you for sharing again, Nikki. She says, if it's that bad and you have to cheat,
just leave.
Just leave.
Thank you.
Just leave.
What did Fantasia say? If you don't want me, so you don't want me, don't talk to me. Free yourself. Go ahead and free yourself.
So thank you, Delmisha, Walking in Victory, Terrell. Zenobia's at a party tonight, just so you know. That's her mom. And LD Mackey, thank you for joining us on tonight. David says we all have to look at what we do. Maybe she did and he didn't listen.
Yeah.
That's true. Well, maybe he did and she didn't listen and didn't change, which caused him to want to go and have an affair. So listen, you guys, we have been talking about what to do after trust has been gone. And I think we've kind of No.
I had this just rose up in my spirit because
it rose up.
Since we're talking about cheating, let me just ask you all this real quick before we move on.
Okay.
When it comes to cheating physically and cheating emotionally, we've touched on it before. Which one do you think is the hardest to overcome? Because in my experience, because I was talking about this with a friend the other day, I feel like when it comes to men, of course, we expect, because men are visual, that we but we expect more so. You know, we're not surprised by physical cheating, right? But when a man is able to emotionally cheat, I feel like, in my experience, it hit me different because by nature, men are not emotional. They don't open up like that. So for you to be able to feel so comfortable with another woman that even though you didn't sleep with her, you've been able to open up with her like emotionally, very, very much. She knows everything, like all your deep, like everything that you said to me, she knows. But even though you haven't physically, to me, that in a sense is worse.
So for you, it's worse.
Yeah, okay. Because I feel like you went outside of yourself to even do that. Like visually, I don't know.
I feel like the physical is worse.
Really?
Right.
So which one's worse to you? I'm just curious.
I feel like that's worse.
Emotionally, Alice said
we can get past the emotional.
Said emotionally. So
everybody's saying emotionally. Well, then that's your opinion. No, I'm just like, look, Del Makataka says, a random question. If you cheated with your best friend, so if you cheated on your mate with your best friend and the individual says they're in love with you, what's the response? Well, are you in love with them? I guess it would just depend on whether you in love with your best friend, because then the response would be, I love you too. And I need to break up with this other person. We need to be together. But if you don't feel that way, Thelma, then I would just say, look, this was a mistake. I hate you in love with me. How do you go back? How do you go back to being best friend with somebody that's told you I'm in love with you? Tune in next week to find out. All right. So as you're saying emotionally, Alice is saying emotionally.
Yeah, everybody's saying emotionally. Cheryl said people tend to think they can make that person be faithful. Got some people there. There ain't enough pork chops to win them through food and gifts. It goes deeper.
Okay. And that's true. Because, you know, women, we are really guilty of saying, I can change him.
Yeah.
But no. Only God can change him. Or he has to want to change for himself.
Right.
It don't matter how much I love these earrings that Nana has on. By the way, my shirt, I have the same thing. But we're twinning right now. But the point is that it doesn't matter how much I want those. Mm-hmm. If she don't want to give them to me, then there's nothing I can do about that. So it's the same thing in a relationship. If you are dealing with a man or you're dealing with a woman that does not want to be faithful, there's not no amount of pork chops you can cook. There's not amount of sex you can give them. There's not an amount of gifts you can give them to make them change their mind. They have to want to change it for themselves. So
and the same goes for even when you all are trying to rebuild trust. If you guys have a plan and you're supposed to be working toward doing these steps, they can say all day that they want to, but you also have to take in mind, do they have the actual capacity? Because, for example, someone mentioned the way that they grew up. So let's just say they grew up in dysfunction. Seeing toxic behaviors is their norm. When they get mad, they break stuff. Those kind of behaviors are still in them. However, they're saying that they want to work things out with you, but you know that the necessary work has not been done to render them safe in that sense. So even though they're willing, at that moment, they do not have the capacity to do what it is you're asking them to do. So you have to be the wiser one and remove yourself. If you keep saying, oh, are you willing? Are you willing? They're going to keep telling you, yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, I'm working on it. But then you know that they don't have the capacity.
But and let me just say this too, because a lot of times people think that this is the one for me. Like there's not another one. There's ones, multiple. Okay. So don't get caught up on like, well, I'm just going to keep dealing with him and work on him because we've been together. No, there are other ones that don't need require as much work or require as much upkeep or maintenance or whatever the situation may be. You're not gonna cut nobody. Okay, we're not cutting folks.
Hey, Michael, thanks for tuning in.
Emotional Oh, what's up, Michael Clark? Yes, Donna Corbett. Thank you for being a top fan and thank you for agreeing with me with the physical.
Y'all make sure to share the video too. I don't see shares.
Yeah, so now there's 2 to 4 or 7 or however many you got.
Yeah.
Only Devin Top Notch King. Come on here. Thank you for joining us on tonight on Women of Power. We're talking about the steps to take after trust has been broken and what's worse, someone cheating emotionally or someone cheating physically.
So men, for y'all, what is it? Because you see for the women,
we already know for men.
A lot of the women said emotional cheating for us is harder to come back from. So for you men, you know, with your old lady, if she stepped out on you, would it mean, but would it hurt you more if she did it physically, or would it hurt you more if she did it emotionally?
That's a good question, Nana. And Mary Martin says both equally temporarily hurtful and painful. So she's saying that either one would really hurt. Yeah. And I guess I've never been emotionally cheated on, or no one was able to articulate that was what was going on. So I really don't know how it would be with an emotional cheating.
It stings.
Because of course everyone says it was just physical, there was nothing else, blah, blah, blah. But man, I've been watching some shows where I've been like, you know what? I don't know what I'm gonna do, y'all, because
what happened?
Well, I was watching this show today. It's like one of those African short movies that comes on Facebook. And so the woman was married and she's at this event with her husband, like this really elegant event, and she runs into this young lady who comes up, introduces herself, and she says that she works with her husband. And she was like, oh really? I didn't know, he's never mentioned you. And she's like, yeah. She said, well, how long have you been working with him? And she says, oh, well, I don't work with him, we're business partners. And she said, what? Whoa. She said, yeah, well, how long have you guys been business partners? She said 4 years. And so she's looking upside her husband's head, like, you got a business partner for 4 years and you've never even told me, never even mentioned her name. And she's like, I've heard so much about you. And she said, well, I've heard absolutely nothing about you. So they go home. Of course, the husband has cheated before. So he's like, look, I'm not doing that no more. I'm good. Blah, blah, blah. Right. And she's like, I just, please just trust me. Blah, blah, blah. It's nothing going on. So she said, well, my husband's going out of town this weekend. Are you going on that business trip? And she was like, oh, yeah, I'll be going on this one with him. She's like, oh, okay. So anyway, he convinces her before he leaves that he loves her, blah, blah, blah. And then they show him on the business trip in the room with this business partner telling her he loves her, but I can't leave my wife because I just love her more. And I'm just sitting up here like, how do you deal with stuff like that?
You don't.
Donna Whitfield, thank you so much for joining us.
Physical. Only Devin Top Notch King said physical is more.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
What's up, Jerome Skinny Boy Morrison? Thank you for joining us on tonight. Keisha Taylor, top fan, says emotional is definitely worse. Donna Whitfield says emotional cheating, define, please.
Emotional cheating would be, for example, let's say, you have a boyfriend or you're married and you find out that your significant other has been in communication with another woman. And so he's talking to her every day. There's text messages, they're sending emails, exchanging pictures, talking about life, maybe even talking about you. and they've never slept together physically, but they've done a lot of communicating, a lot of talking, a lot of conversing, to where, he's opening up about his childhood, things that he's told you, and again, maybe even things you've told him, where there's just a lot of just pillow talk going on between him and this woman. You can tell they have feelings for each other, but they've never physically slept with one another. That's emotional cheating.
Okay. Keisha Taylor says, to me, that means you have shared your heart with someone. That level is supposed to be just for me.
That's why it hurts so much. Yes.
You trying to sway me over, but I'm going to stay on the physical side.
Whatever.
And Donna Whitfield says, how do you separate physical cheating from emotional cheating, or how it leaves you feeling once physical cheating has taken place? I don't think you can separate it if he's done both. I don't see how you could separate it. Donna, but listen, for the sake of time, we are actually getting ready to move into our second question for the show. So you guys, come on, get your fingers ready, get ready to type in your responses on our second topic, which is,
fellas, if you haven't put a ring on it, is she still fair game? Because there's that saying that until you're married, you're single. But I feel like it's a slippery slope, because if that's the case, all of us have sat here and said, oh, so-and-so cheated on me, and all those weren't marriages, so where do you draw the line? Am I really single? Because if I am, then how can I sit here and get mad or even say I've been cheated on because I'm not married?
Sylvester,
Oh, hey, Sylvester. Just say Sylvester.
Sylvester. Hey, how you doing? Thank you for joining us on tonight. Listen, so you just heard the question. It's right up there on the screen. You are a man. Sylvester, why don't you type some answer in and let us know. If you haven't put a ring on it, is she still fair game? Is she still considered single?
And ladies, how do y'all feel about that? Do you feel like you're still single until you're married? So, you might be in a relationship, but if you see someone who's interested in you, do you think, well, technically, I'm not married, so I'm going to entertain him? Or do you feel like, nah, at the end of the day, I still said I was going to be committed, so I'm a fall shark?
Right. So for me, okay, you go first, Nana, because
I feel like I can't say that, because we just talked about boundaries, about cheating. And if that's the case, that would render everything we just said null and void.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like this. If we are you can be in a committed relationship and not be married.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. If we're in a committed, meaning that we
so
have
that
established
single, though. That's the thing. Because some people still say you have no ring on your finger, so technically you're single, even if you guys have plans to get married.
Like, you can't mark married on anything. You have to mark single.
Single, exactly. So so are you or are you not?
Yeah. Can it just be a state of mind?
Perhaps. Thelma said, "I just want y'all to be my girlfriends." And then she said,
Thelma.
"No, you are not single." Oh. Right on. David said, "Man, if we're together, we're together. You're for me." And no, that's a no-fly zone.
Thelma says monogamy. Okay. So if we together, you for me, and no, that's a no-fly zone. So David, you pretty much saying if y'all in a committed relationship, whether you put a ring on it or not, she's not single. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. Let's see what Nikki had to say.
Nikki said, when you're dating intentionally, then that is the goal for you all to potentially be married. But if you're recreational dating, then yes, you're fair game.
That's a great. If you didn't articulate that, you articulated that perfect.
Yeah. I just wanted to say, basically, you hit the nail on the head. That was
yes. If you're dating intentionally, meaning like we have established, if an understanding has been established, and I think that's what people don't understand. If you really don't want to commit, don't establish it. You don't even have to say the words, because we can just date. You don't have to say, I want us to be together. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to say those words. Just say, I'm out here, I'm seeing what's going on, I'm dating casually.
Say that, though.
Right, because they're afraid you won't want to date them.
Right.
But the reality of it is that if you are single and you're wanting to date, you should find out what's out there. But I think a lot of times we just latch on to people like
all the eggs in one basket.
They're like they're the last person on earth. It's like, no, there's a whole world out there. And so, yeah. But yeah, when you find that one that you are compatible with and you really like them, they really like you, then yeah, let's just do us. But so I just keep getting back.
Oh, you got something else?
I'm still stuck on single. Go ahead.
Oh. Ambrosia said, how can you even trust that person to marry them if they're not faithful to you while y'all are in the beginning stages of the relationship?
That's good, Ambrosia.
Yeah.
And how can, and that's kind of what we're talking about. How do you get back to that place of trust? So, and then what is how many mistakes does it take?
One. You make more than one, like.
Yeah. So, Ambrosia, I guess to answer your question, can you even trust that person? It's a decision. Either you're gonna make a decision to trust them, up until marriage, or you're not.
Right.
And if you can't, it's okay. It's okay to say, I'm so messed up right now, I don't think I'll ever be able to trust you.
Are we talking about the rebuilding trust part again?
Well, I'm just really addressing. What's up, Jamie Callis Jr.? I'm just addressing her thing. It says, how can you even trust that person to marry them if they're not faithful to you while you're in the beginning stages of the relationship?
That's
so
hard.
If I can't trust you while we have made a commitment to just date monogamously, then how can I trust you to put a ring on my finger and walk down the aisle with you? And so I think that's a great question, Ambrosia. And so I would say, don't even try to be with me. Don't even say you want to be with me until you are ready to be faithful. And it is a decision, as we've already determined. Come on. David James says, because we dating to get married, I don't play around. But we've already talked about this before on the show too. When does dating, because dating is just like we're going out, we're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
That's not a commitment in itself. But there is a point in dating where you can make a decision to say, I only want to date you. And I want you to only date me.
It's the terms that be tripping.
Right.
Because dating is also, synonymously exchanged with relationship.
Right.
For some people.
And it's
so
not.
I'll say, I'm dating, or who are you dating now? I'm in a full relationship, but someone, we refer to it as dating.
Right.
There's someone who just met someone last week on an app, and they're going on a couple of dates this week. And
we're dating.
So there's actually a difference from when we say dating, we're talking about there's no established commitment. We're getting to know each other, and we're actually going on dates. Now, if we're in a relationship, I wouldn't say we're dating like we're in a relationship. We do go on dates, but we're in a relationship. Don't get it twisted.
Jamie said he agrees. Yolanda Ross, thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Listen, Donna Gorbet says, if both have agreed to a committed relationships, we together, period. Okay. Okay, Donna, you made your point clear. And I agree.
Yeah.
If we have made that agreement now, are we bound? No.
Well, when you say no, what do you mean? Bound? Like, okay, so what do you mean bound?
Like, marriage is another level. That's like a spiritual coming together.
Oh, okay. So
it's
when
like
you mean
our
bound,
spirits
like
yeah. See, that's where it gets hard.
Yeah.
That's where it gets hard. Because if that's the case, someone could be in a committed relationship for many years and never get married. I mean, you see people now together 18 years, never been married. But hey, no. So the question is, that committed relationship has to be leading towards something. You have to be working towards, there has to be an expected end. There has to be a goal. And that goal should be marriage.
Right.
Because how long is a man gonna date a woman that's celibate?
Not no 18
years. He gonna have to make it.
They're barely hanging on now, y'all. Out here. Okay. David said, and don't go dating someone to fill a void. Just make what you're looking for. Just make sure what you're looking for, you are that. So basically how they say, make sure that whatever you want in someone else can be found in you.
Right.
Because you don't have the right to, you don't have A, B, and C. But it's like, I need you to be this.
Right.
I need you to be that. And you don't even have it for yourself.
Listen, because we're guilty of that.
Yeah.
We'll be like, he need to have a 900 credit score and yours 325. He need to have a Benz and you were catching the bus.
He need to have a house with 6 bedrooms.
He need to be faithful and you a cheater. Yeah. Come on. We got to be realistic. Hey, what's up, Emma Kirkwood? Thank you for joining us on tonight. Listen, if you have not put a ring on it, is she still fair game? And ladies, if he hasn't put a ring on it, are you still fair game? And so I would say the deal is not sealed until there's a ring on it. Now, am I saying that once you commit, you still able to go out and do whatever? No, but the deal's not sealed. The deal is sealed once you put the ring on it, because that is a lifetime commitment.
Right.
Okay. And then don't put the ring on it and plan the wedding 5 years from now. Okay. I'm just throwing that out there. That's the bonus.
Somebody needed to
That's free. That's to help some of y'all right now. But I'm just saying, I would say the ring to me is the deal sealer.
Yeah.
So Am I saying that if I'm just in a committed relationship, but I don't have a ring, that I'm going to be pursuing and open to other people that are out there? I would say
she about to lie. What she about to say? She about to lie. She starts talking slow. Mouth looks like it's dry. She about to lie. I'm just letting y'all know. That's free game too for you, man. If your girl ever does that, she lying.
Whatever. I was looking at you. They didn't see it. Okay, but I'm okay. So I would say if that's so hard.
But that's a very legitimate question.
That is so
let
legitimate.
me ask you guys. Let's ask that to you also. What she's saying is that let's say that you are in a relationship. There's no ring. Okay, so this is for men and for women. But let's just say there's somebody who, you know, I don't know, who's very interested in you and who would potentially, if you were to have been quote unquote single, you would be very interested in them. Because there's no ring, does that pose a, like maybe I should, because technically, you know, just to see, because, you know, there's more than one, there's ones out there. Or would you just be like, no, at the end of the day, I have a significant other, even though we're not engaged or not married. So that's a no. I'll tell the truth, because
Jasmine Reagans, thank you for joining us on tonight. So listen, that's the question we're posing to you, our audience right now. So you guys start typing in your answer, because we would love to read your comments on that. Because even just talking about this subject, I think my mind has flipped. Mm-hmm. Because when we first started talking about it, I was like, oh no, if we commit, that's it. But then again, there's no ring. So there's no real commitment. There's no covenant.
Right.
And I think there's a difference between a commitment and a covenant. Come on here. I want to be in covenant with somebody, right, not just a commitment. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, are we putting all our eggs in the basket of commitment? Are we? Or are we going to save them for the basket of covenant? Right.
Because some people in a committed relationship are giving out wifely and husbandly duties. Mm-hmm. And you can't do that. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to save that for your husband or for your wife. Because if you're just cooking for everybody, come on. What your husband got to look forward to? You just washing everybody's clothes.
Oh, we have a man that said they should be fair. Jamie said they should be fair game.
Okay. Oh, all right, Jamie Callis Jr. They should be fair.
If they're fair game, let me ask you as a man, men, if you all meet a woman and you know how we do, oh, I have a boyfriend. Have any of y'all ever gotten a woman to tell you, oh, I have a man, and you're like, and so yeah, since she's fair game, have y'all done that? And women, the same. Like, do you know? Because we could tell them, and what do they say? They just at least want to be friends. Right. Hey, Bree, thanks for tuning in.
What's up, LaRonda Nobles? We're so glad you guys are joining on the show. So the question is, if you haven't put a ring on it, is she still fair game? We just had a man answer, they should be fair game. Thank you, Jamie, for your honesty. But does that mean you fair game? Because I got an issue. With
that don't feel good when you say it like
right.
So my boyfriend
I'm free. Like, wait a minute, you free too? No.
It sounds good when we say we are. I don't like it when y'all say no.
Right.
But he said, yeah, he's free game too.
Okay. All
fair
right.
game too.
So then why commit?
Because then now why are we even having a relationship?
Right. Why even go into a relationship if we're going to be fair game? Because the point of relationship is saying it's just for us to be one-on-one. So if I don't have a ring and I'm still fair game, then why should I even say, yes, I'll be your girlfriend or I'll be your woman or whatever?
So basically we all should just have open relationships
pretty much
until we get married.
Until
we get engaged, I should say.
That's what it sounds like.
Okay, I never thought about
Jamie, you just opened my eyes. I'm in a whole new
Somebody about to make some phone calls tonight. Look,
you know what?
Women
I'm single.
And they said, technically,
I'm single.
We might as well be in an open relationship until you commit to me. How do I know that me sacrificing and being committed to you is going to actually end the marriage? I don't know. All I can do is trust and hope and pray for discernment.
Yeah. You know what? And I'm just going to be honest with y'all. If
fair game has a time limit. Ooh. Explain, sir.
Yeah, what does that mean, Jamie? Fair game has a time limit. You're gonna have to expound on that. But I want to say what's up to Soraya Rudd and Shamika Thomas Bard. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. Fair game has a time limit. And you know what? I agree. And the reason why I say that, I don't know.
So what does that look like?
I'm so confounded right now. My mind is just blown.
I'm about to know how to write another book.
Listen. Hold on. Let me see what Donna Whitfield had to say. What she say?
She said, well, that's where we have come to today. Everyone is bouncing around in and out of beds. God designed us to commit to each other.
Right, Donna. Right. Thank you so much for that. That's what we were created to. We were created to mate. We were created to come into covenant with one another. But we have made dating like the thing to do right now. Yeah. And being
it's so comfortable. It's so casual.
Right.
I was listening to Jerry Flowers again because I love me some redefined TV. And he made a statement and said it's so sad that we live in a generation where we can touch all over each other's bodies, and that's normal, but you can't touch your partner's phone. We're more comfortable dropping our panties than we are dropping our phone and thinking we're going to get a crack because we don't want to break our phone, but we don't care about catching soul ties. And I was like, snaps. And the sad part about it is he's right. That's how casual it's become. Sex and just dating casually has become as casual as sweatpants on an off day, like it's normal. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's sad, because it takes away from actually using quote unquote dating for what it was purposed for, which was to get to know somebody so that you guys can work towards marriage. Now it's just like for pleasure and to pass time.
Right.
So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Donna. That's a good point. And I was going to say too, that if women would just raise the standard and keep it there and not give away all the goods, but hold out for marriage, it would be a lot more of us marriage.
Yeah.
I'm just
Prince,
throwing that out there.
And that's the thing. If all of the women could come, but that's the problem, because I was going to be
somebody else with
exactly lowest standard. I'm about to do all that. Y'all can do that if you want to. Like, I saw a post today, and it was even like a really basic, empowering post that basically said how in today's generation, you see a lot of women will put things on social media about, sexually explicit things that they want to do. If they feel hot and heated and they want company in their bed, that kind of thing. And they have no problem exposing that. But she was like, I'm a woman of class. Certain things don't need to be put out on social media. It's okay to keep that for yourself. It's okay. And you would think most women would just be like, yeah. Do you know how much hate she got? That post had gone viral. I think she had maybe like 15,000 shares, and girls were going in on her like, "Oh my gosh, nobody does that anymore. You're so old school."
That is not old school.
People were going in on her like, "Oh well, I'm liberated. I'm in the era of women empowerment and liberation."
But is that power?
That's how so many women feel, and that's the dangerous part is that a lot of women today feel like by being sexually, I don't know what the word is, free. I guess that's the word that they use. Just like we have the rappers today that everyone listens to, Meg Thee Stallion, the City Girls, because they rap on the same level and speak about, sleeping with dudes and tossing them to the side the way that men used to do us. To a lot of women, it does feel like, oh, that's the power. I got the power. I can act like the guys act, and they can't control because I'm the one who decides. Just like we shared with our past testimony in the past when it even came to sleeping around. I also at one point felt like, well, since I'm making the decision and it's me, I'm the one who has the power, so they can't make it seem like I'm, because it's on me. And when you look back and it's like, no, you know what I'm saying? Your power doesn't come from that. It doesn't come from there. Okay? Right. It does not come from there. So there's nothing wrong with being classy and being, modest to a certain extent. Because y'all, come on now. Just like I talked about past, I think it was Steve Harvey's book or something. Just to touch on this real quick, they were talking about the bait. When you go fishing, there's a certain kind of bait that you use because you know what kind of fish you're trying to attract. Right. And a lot of these same girls will be posting half-naked pictures, and then one day it's about guys aren't nothing, and guys are in their inbox, and it's like, because look at what you're putting out there. What you are putting out is what you are attracting. So if you keep attracting guys who want to sleep with you, what are you putting out there? You don't act surprised. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's all I can say. Is
what is your presentation?
Thank you.
Flies are attracted to what? Nikki Thompson says, first, a woman must know their worth. Nikki, you are so right. A woman needs to know her worth, because if she does not know her worth, she will fall for the okie doke. She will end up in a committed relationship for 25 years, never married, and all these different things. Top fan JJ Jones says,
I think sometimes we mess up because we mentally make everyone we date confined to committed relationship and marriage expectations. Right. We are too casual with our availability and not careful enough with our considerations before we commit. Everyone you date is not your husband or wife.
Your husband. That's the whole purpose of dating. Dating is to find out, is this person the one? Are we compatible? So that's why I said my whole mindset has changed about this topic, because I really had my mindset, JJ, on where I've sat on this particular question. But I think I'm jumping seats right now. Yeah. I'm thinking that we don't need to commit until we ready to commit, if that makes sense. If we're dating, when you ready to wife me, and if I'm ready to be wifed, I think that's when the commitment comes in.
The engagement.
Right. But until then,
yeah,
I'm single.
you've gathered enough data to where you feel like, okay, this is my wife. Then to me, that makes, and again, I feel like this kind of changed my mindset. Then it makes more sense to solely commit, because now I know that this is where we're going. But if we're just like, why would I do that?
Right.
Now I'm looking like,
why would I do that? Listen, Shamika Thomas Bard says, are men not expected to hold a standard? They should.
Absolutely.
They absolutely should.
We're the gatekeepers to an extent, right? Because they can't do anything that we don't allow, right? But the problem is a lot of us are allowing any and everything. So, and like she said, if we all would hold the same standard, then they would have to actually, it would cause them to have to step up to meet us where we're at. But we're not doing that. And so, of course, you know,
listen,
they're going to act like scavengers.
Come on, top fan Antonio Sanders. He says, most ladies feel they got everything they have, that they don't want to be tied down to any man and stay independent. So the question is, do women make the rules and not men? I would say that you make the rules for yourself.
Right.
So your standard is whatever you know what I'm saying? Whatever is your rules, those are your rules. And there are going to be people that say, I can't deal with your rules. And you know what? That's fine. But there's going to be someone or some people who will say, I respect your rules. I'm willing to abide by them. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to show you that I think I'm the one for you. But first, let's find out. Let's find out.
Like somebody said earlier, I think it was Nikki talking about, you know, when you're abstinent, that conversation is a filter, because a lot of them, after they find out you ain't talking about that, yes, they got in the beginning. It's like, oh, for real, I understand.
Right,
I'm cool. Then they try you and realize, oh, she for real. Then it's like, now,
right.
So yeah. Donna Whitfield said, "Tell the men to stop tempting us. Have some control on both sides."
Tell the men to stop tempting us.
Yeah.
You're going to have some self-control,
right? That even when temptation comes.
It takes two to tango,
okay.
Donna.
So,
temptation's going to always be there.
Right.
Come on here. Temptation's going to always be there, whether it's food, it's dessert, it's men, it's this, it's that. You're going to have your own self-control.
JJ said, we must know who God says we are in order to have a standard. We don't really understand the power of who we were created to be and wonder why we fall short each time we meet someone. You can't walk in what you don't recognize. Very true.
Why we fall short. Listen. Yeah. That's good. That's good. And the way you know who God says we are is you got to get into his word, y'all. And that's just the bottom line. You got to get into his word, because a lot of us, we don't even have an identity, because our identity is in Christ. And because we don't have him, now we're identityless. Is that a word?
Yeah. Or the identity is in, you said it's in Christ, but for a lot of this generation, identity is in likes and follows. And that's where they get their validation from, you know? So we have
or in your DM. Antonio Top Fan says the woman's body and a man's money is the power now. They feel it's an even trade-off. And that's called prostitution.
But that's exactly what it's become. That's exactly what it's become.
When you exchange sex for money, that's actually called prostitution, Antonio. But I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, a lot of young ladies feel like because these young ladies are getting like shapes early.
And a lot of surgery is going on nowadays too, because everybody has that same body type, and it's not natural. We all know it's not, but that's the thing now, is to get a BBL, Brazilian butt lift, and to go get, you know, and even in music, going back even with my nieces, and they're young, they were asking me questions because and a lot of the music that is on the radio, even, you know, back in the day, even the radio used to at least blurb out, you know, certain words, or even the context. If it was too explicit, they wouldn't play it. Now you can turn on the radio and they playing and letting words slip out, like it's bad. And so a lot of the songs women are talking about sleeping with men and getting a purse, getting some shoes. He got to have money. He got to. So they feel just like what Antonio said, is that, okay, so I need to do with money. And since he has money, if I do A, B, and C, I'm going to get these shoes. I'm going to get this. And it's like, wait a minute, what?
Y'all better figure out, y'all better figure out how to buy your own shoes. That's real talk.
That's real talk.
Y'all need to figure out how to buy your own shoes.
But that's true. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So sad.
Listen. Nikki gave a shout out to JJ. Donna Whitfield says you made a good point. When women are putting everything out there in their photos, men then begin to become immune to a woman's real beauty and just keep to their freedom by not committing to anyone. And that's kind of like you said. What's up, Ryan Graham? Thank you for joining us on tonight. He says he's in agreement. But that is so true. It's like a smorgasbord. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to the buffet, you like, ooh, I don't even know what to get first. I'm going to get these crab legs. I'm going to get, right.
And when you put out something new, right, when you sit down at the table, you're like, oh, I'm about to get up because I want to go get that. That's exactly what's going on.
Right. But if you go to like a Cheddar's or a Razoo's, you got a menu and you got to choose something. You see what I'm saying?
You have to make a decision.
Yeah, you got to make a decision on what you want. And so I think what the problem is that now women are like a smorgasbord to men. There's so much availability and so much easy accessibility, even on these dating apps. I mean, they are like doing all kind of underhanded stuff through these dating apps and different things like that. And so it's too much. It's too easy. It's so too easy
not
for
easy,
men.
then it becomes very hard because it's like, okay, well, I have these. Did she say standards?
Right, I'm out. Peace. So why do we get ghosted? Because of standards. Sometimes it's standards.
Yeah. Because of abstinence. Yeah.
Because of accountability.
Accountability. See, that could be a whole show in itself. Accountability will run people off. Well, that technically shouldn't be there anyway because it's a filter. But a lot of people, like we've talked about in the past, like to do that inconsistent communication, the pop up, I haven't talked to you in a couple of days, but now all of a sudden, and when you say something about, well, I haven't heard from you, I haven't, they don't like that. They're used to just being able to do that, especially if they're attractive and they feel like, well, nobody else.
The world is my oyster.
Right.
Not this world. Okay.
Not this oyster.
Not this oyster, boo. Okay.
Let's see. Antonio said, people are money hungry and buying bodies for money to attract weak-minded men to get their money. That's so true. That's all going to change when money becomes cryptocurrency. I don't know anything about cryptocurrency, but
I think he means like a chip. They trying to put that
chip Bitcoin stuff. I mean,
God, that's gonna be yeah. And then all the money's gonna be like you got to swipe your ear or something. Yeah. Donna says you made a good point. Women are putting. I already read that, Donna. I'm sorry. I'm let me say hello to Dontrell Roberts. Thank you for joining us on tonight. Nikki said it'll run a man out for sure. And then Donna Whitfield says, sis, you said they're gonna get those grab legs first. Are you trying to say crab legs?
Yeah. She said
what?
You're gonna get those creepy crawlers in those pants. Laughing at my funny. Those crabs.
So what creepy crawlers?
Crabs.
Oh. Crab legs. Okay.
We were talking about
when you said crab legs, my mom went because crab legs actually my favorite food. But then you went to a whole other. We should. So that took me to another place. But listen, so what we are talking about right now, you guys, is if you haven't put a ring on it, is she still fair game? And even though we're kind of diverted from that, the reality of it is like I said, my whole mindset has changed after this show.
Mine has too.
And I kind of like it. It's freeing. It's evolutionary.
It's freeing for us, but I wonder for you men, is it freeing or does that sound like, oh snap? Like now, I got to step it up because I might lose her. Because now, if we're saying that we feel like until you quote unquote engage us, we are single.
We're single until there's a ring, and that means that we are both in agreement that we want to be together for the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Then I'm single, which means I'm available to meet, and guess what? You are too.
Right.
And that's fine. And I think that will help us so much. It'll help us so much because we are so quick to
get in a relationship. You want to be my girl, and then it's like,
you wifey. No, I'm not wifey. You know why? Because there's no ring on my finger. Do not call me wifey unless I'm your wife. So I think it's liberating, you guys. I'm telling you, I love this show. If I was a watcher, I would totally watch this because I learned something every week. And this is evolutionary for us as well.
This literally changed my mind. Because I was, I just said like that would make everything null and void. And now I'm like, no, actually, I like that concept a lot better.
Yeah. Listen, top fan Antonio Sanders says weak-minded men will ghost a strong-minded woman. Fact. Well, thank you for sharing that, brother, because we had a whole topic on why do men ghost. And I believe you were on the men's panel a couple of weeks ago, and we asked the panel, why do men ghost? Because it's confounding. It's like What is wrong with closure? They even have
because
a
the
whole
crab
show.
legs came out after they thought they had whatever.
Oh my God.
There's so many options. So for me, it's not even a surprise anymore. Especially again when you throw in the factor of you having the standard that you have, especially with us, being abstinent, and you have all these other women who are just as attractive and they're willing to drop it like it's hot. It's like, hey,
right,
whatever.
But how hard is it to say a text that just says, "I'm moving on,"
or I feel like they don't owe you an explanation.
But you do, bro. I'm speaking for every woman in America right now. You owe us that. If we have taken a whole week or 2 weeks or 4 weeks of our time to talk to you, text you, the least you can do is just say, "You're not what I want. This ain't working." Because trust me, that would help. But just disappearing and people, because my mind goes to, was he in a car accident? Is he dead?
My mind goes to, he met somebody else.
That's it.
Yeah. Because it's just, for me, it's expected, especially, let's just put it in perspective.
What if he was in a car accident?
He wouldn't. Because you go and check their Facebook and they just posted something.
Oh, snaps.
My thing is, the way I look at it is like, again, because we're talking about how, quote unquote, people are out here dating other people and, getting to know if you are what they want, whether it's been 2 weeks or however long, if it's only been, quote unquote, going on dates and you disappear, the first thing I'm thinking is, okay, clearly you met somebody else that you want to spend more time with or someone else who meets your interests. So I don't necessarily expect closure. And I don't necessarily.
It ain't even about
not
closure. I just respect.
I feel like it's
respect to me. I feel like it's respectable. Come on here.
I mean,
for you to just.
I would be appreciative if you did.
I would be.
I feel like I already know it's part of the game. So for me, it's just like, all right.
Gosh, why does it have to be a game? Come on, let's grow up, y'all. Let's grow up. And David James says, "Okay, that's how it go." Okay. All right, that's how it's gonna go, David, going forward for me. And it sounds like for Nana too. Top fan Antonio Sanders says, "If a man is paying any of her home bills," I came with you, Antonio. "If a man is paying any of her home bills without a ring, she's off the market, period."
Because he's doing, like, in his eyes, that's his wife. He's doing
right.
Husbandly duties.
But that's what we were talking about. These husbandly and wifely duties that we are doing for each other without the ring, without the commitment, without the covenant. And then we get upset. It
makes it messy.
Right.
I feel like we can appreciate the intention of wanting to, but when it doesn't work out, right? Because from the man's perspective, I'll say protection, to guard your heart so that you don't feel slighted. Let's just say if you're doing all these things and it turns out that you're not the one that she wants to be with or that she wants to marry, you're going to feel used, right? Because I've been paying her bills. Right. I've been doing this. I've been taking her. So to protect yourself, don't do that. And women, the same thing. When you do that and maybe you feel like, you know what, I really like him and he's been doing all these things, but like, my heart isn't here. But then now I feel, because he's done all this stuff,
obligated.
Yeah. So to protect both of you is just best. Leave that off of the table. If you guys want to get to know each other, get to know each other without those things. Now,
if you want to get my nails done for my birthday, that's different. I'll explain. But listen, thank you, Vernon Andre Booth Sr., for joining us on tonight. Shamika Thomas Bart has a good point. She said, "Does paying bills make her his wife?" No.
It makes him more invested.
It makes him
more invested. So
and in his mind, though,
yeah,
it may make him feel like this is my woman because I'm paying her bills. But if it has not been communicated, if there's been no communication to that fact, first of all, we got to stop assuming, okay? Because we know what assuming does. It makes an ASS out of you and me, okay? So stop assuming in these relationships. Stop, I've just... when I was preaching a couple Sundays ago, or maybe 3 or 4 Sundays ago, I told the story about the young lady who was doing all that stuff for her boyfriend. Oh,
yes. And then
she was like, "I wash your clothes, I cook for you, I clean up your apartment, all this stuff." And she was like, "So when are we going to the next level?" And he was like, "Well, I never asked you to do that. I don't even feel like we on a level." Like, in his mind, they were just kicking it, hanging out. But in her mind, I'm doing all this stuff. This is my man. So now I've been doing this for a year. When are we getting married? And he's like, "I never even said I was your man. I'm not ready to go to another level because I was never on the first level with you." So
that's like that meme that was like, it said somebody I've been dating this boy for like 8 months, and today he asked me why I'm single. And it's like, like, I thought we So
I don't know why you single, dude. I didn't know I was single. I thought we was together.
That's what I'm saying. I got to be more careful. Got to be careful because it happens.
Listen.
Nikki said, maybe I'm weird, but I don't want a man paying my bills because you can't stay here or have a key.
Hello.
Okay.
Because that comes next.
Okay.
You know, Shamika Thomas Barr said that part. Come on. Antonio Sanders, our top fan, says, what does a ring matter? Does the carat matter as long as it's a commitment ring? Now we get into, does the carats matter? You know what, brother?
No.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to at least make an effort. Come on here. Don't come with no bubble gum.
Magnifying glass.
Right. I mean, at least put it this way. If as a man, the woman you want to marry, you want to give her your best, right? The only thing the only thing you can do is give her the best of where you are right now. Most men will upgrade as the marriage goes on. 5 year, 10 year, 15 years, they'll upgrade the ring. So I would say, don't come below your means. Because to me, that's saying that, I mean, come on, you can go to the pawn shop and do better than this. So I would rather you go to the pawn shop and buy me a used wedding ring that you had to put on layaway for 6 months than come with something below your means, if that makes sense. So does the carat matter? It shouldn't, but to a woman, that ring shows how you value her. So you have to look at it from that point. It's not about how much money you spent, but that ring shows how much you value her. Some women don't care. They'll be like, I don't even like jewels. I don't like diamonds. Just give me a band, and that's what they want. Then there's women like me who
diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Let me stop. But yeah, so I would just say, it does not measure their value, but it does kind of measure their value to you, how valuable you are to them, and how much you. Nikki says yes, they do. The carats do matter. So thank you, Nikki, for sharing that. So listen, you guys, we have been talking about, if you haven't put a ring on it, is she still fair game? And we've come to the conclusion, yes, she is. Yeah. And a lot of our listeners have had battling decisions. So I would say, whatever your decision is on that, fine. But for the person that asked the question, that submitted the question to the show,
it looks like the answer is yes. So if you want her to be off the market, we suggest you start planning for an engagement.
All right. Jamie wants to know, so do you get the ring back if y'all don't work out?
You don't think so?
No. Now I know.
I mean, I wouldn't mind giving it back because it didn't work out. Like I get in the moment, because I know some people are like, well, no, because when he got it for me, and but y'all know why he got it for you.
Right.
The reason no longer is there. So if he takes it back, y'all respect it.
I would say this: some men don't want the ring back; they don't care about the ring. Obviously, they haven't been somebody. But the point is that I actually watched a judge show where the man took the woman to court over the ring. And so what the judge said was that this ring was given to you as a commitment for marriage. So since you have decided you no longer want to marry him, it's only right to give him his ring back.
Exactly.
And he said, did you bring the ring to court today? And she said, yes, Your Honor. He said, give it to him.
That part, because that's what I'm saying. Y'all know why
he had receipts and everything.
Right.
3,000, y'all.
So if the why is no longer there, then yes, y'all should give the ring back. Or men, if y'all want to take the ring back, take the ring back. And if she give you attitude, take it back anyway. Because
she shouldn't want it anymore. If this was a ring I accepted,
these women, come on now.
I done seen women throw the ring. Now those are the ones that mess me up. Why is you throwing that ring in the lake? Don't you know if you didn't want it, you could have pawned it. You could have gave it to somebody. I don't understand that part. I would never throw a piece of jewelry away. So yeah. Nikki says, of course, why keep it? Tim Jones Sr., thank you for joining us. You actually caught the end of our show, but make sure you tune in next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time and catch the Women of Power show from the beginning.
Yes.
Antonio says, nope, give it back.
Donna said, the ring is nothing more than a sign to you both that you are one. We should have never gone beyond a band because it becomes an issue of how much a man or woman values each other. Oh, that's interesting. Because when we made it about carrots, then it changed the game up. Donna said, I saw that show. And Shamika said, oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. See?
She said the ring equals it's already worked out and settled. If the relationship is questionable, then there shouldn't be a ring.
Right. But the reality of it is, Shamika, some people get engaged and they made the decision they want to commit to each other, but something happens along the way to where either the woman says, no, I don't want to marry you no more, or because some of these engagements go on forever. I can't. But yeah. So you're right. It shouldn't be about the ring.
I can't stand it. You said I see y'all laid off someone, man. Times are hard. She's not laid off, okay? She's at a party.
No, he's talking about the last comment. Cheryl Lewis Thomas says, if you don't want him, why keep a keepsake? If he don't want it back, then keep it and redesign it.
That part.
Or go with my suggestion, which is part. But either way it goes, yeah, you shouldn't want to keep it if the engagement is no longer. So listen, thank y'all so much for joining us on the Women of Power Radio Show. Listen, once again, you guys, our Cash App is $WOP Radio. So if you have been watching the show, you've been blessed by the show. Listen, as y'all can see, we are upgrading electronically and all these different things, and it costs. So if you want to support the Women of Power Show, we encourage you to go to our Cash App, which is available to you right there on the screen, and give a donation. We actually got our first donation 2 weeks ago on the Mindset of a Man. So thank y'all so much for that. So yeah. And remember, if you want to submit your questions, you can do so right here in the comments, or you can hit us in our DM, or you can email us at womenofpower5@gmail.com. And remember, we can be as anonymous as you want to be. You see, we don't have a name drop unless you want us to. Okay. Listen, and Zenobia, thank you for watching us live. I guess the birthday party's over. And don't forget, showtime is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on the Women of Power Radio Show on Facebook Live. You guys don't miss next week's show where we're going to talk about but we're going to do Never Have I Ever. And so this will be something exciting where we're going to, for those of you who haven't seen the video.
I'll say learn some things about your hosts.
Yes, Lord. So that's going to be awesome. LaPortia Jackson Kimball, thank you for joining us on tonight. We're actually getting ready to close out the show, but I want to share the video, you guys. And we want to encourage you guys to meet us next week. Same bad place, same bad time.
Y'all have a good night. Love y'all. Zoe's not here to stick her face in the camera, so sorry.
Yeah, so it's just bye. It's just, au revoir, arrivederci.